Hey boys and girls, welcome back to my video channel. It's me, Miss Summers. So today I have a guided drawing for you. I'm going to teach you how to draw crystals and gemstones. So we're going to draw these a few different ways, and I'm probably going to split this video up into a part 1 and a part 2, just so doesn't get too overwhelming. All right, so I think I'm going to use this nice magenta here to draw my gemstones today. So the first one that I want to draw with you, we're gonna start by drawing a diamond shape, just like this. And I'm drawing pretty small on my paper so that I can draw lots of different examples for you all. So we start with the diamond shape, and then we're going to add lines at the top and bottom. These are vertical lines. And then we're going to add horizontal lines on either side. And we want these lines to be roughly the same shape, though it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diagonal line that connects two of my lines that I just added. And I'm going to go around and connect these lines, and what I'm doing is I'm drawing a larger diamond around the outside. Okay. Just one line at a time. There we go. And so we're done with our first example of our gemstone, right? Okay, so another way that you can do this, also starting with a diamond. So I'm going to start with another diamond here, right? And this one's going to be more of a crystal shape. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a straight line down the center. And then I'm going to draw kind of like the top part of an arrow. So it's going to be a little diagonal. It's going to go up and then back down, connecting at the corners of my diamond, right? So that's more of kind of a crystal shape. All right, now let's do one that's a little bit more complicated for this one, all right? So we're going to start with a rectangle on our page. I'm going to make it a nice, tall, skinny rectangle. There we go. Now I'm going to add like the top part of an arrow, or kind of like the first part of a capital A to the top, so that I have a triangle at the top and a rectangle at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a V below that rectangle, and that'll create another triangle. So I have a triangle above, a rectangle in the middle, and a triangle below. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the top and bottom of my rectangle here, and I'm going to add some diagonal lines. So I'm just going to start with one side. I'm going to add two diagonal lines that are both pointing away and down from my rectangle. And then I'm going to come over to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make two diagonal lines pointing away and down from my rectangle, right? So it looks almost like we gave our crystal little legs. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the top and bottom using a straight line. I'm going to do the same on the other side as well. You can see it's starting to look a little bit 3D. All right, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the bottom here, and I'm going to connect this line this little corner here back to the point of my downwards pointing triangle, right? And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3 triangles at the bottom here. And now I have to do the same up at the top. So this is going to be a little skinnier, but I'm going to connect this point and this point with a straight line. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And you'll see my little area there is very, very thin, and that's okay, right? All right, so that's the third crystal that we have here. So we have 1, 2, 3 different ways to draw a crystal. Why don't we go ahead and do one more just for fun? And let's go ahead and do kind of a similar shape to the other ones that we've done here. So we're going to start with 2 parallel lines. And parallel means that if they were to continue on forever the same way, they would never touch each other, right? So these are parallel lines, these are parallel lines, these are parallel lines, right? So these are our parallel lines, kind of like the tall sides of our rectangle that we already did. But instead of connecting it to make it a rectangle, I'm going to make like the top part of our arrow, or capital A, to connect to the top. And then I'm going to make a V to connect to the bottom. All right, now what I'm going to do is at the top and bottom, I'm going to draw some vertical lines, which means that they're going straight up and down. Now I'm going to come to the top sides, and I'm going to draw 2 diagonal lines, and these diagonal lines point out and away from the rest of the shape, right? Kind of like our little crystal is doing jumping jacks right now. All right, and then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. They're going to point down and away from the main shape. And you want these lines to be fairly similar in size. Mine are not all exactly the same size, but they're pretty close. All right, and then what you're going to do, just like we did with the first one, is you're going to use straight lines to connect all around the outer edge of our shape. Nice, very good. All right, so I've drawn 4 different types of crystals or gemstones, and now it's time to color. So what I recommend for coloring these is I recommend using different shades of the same color, or I recommend using colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, so analogous colors, right? So if you think rainbow order, those would be colors like red and orange, right? Or blue and purple, yellow and green. So I've actually gone ahead and I did an example beforehand, and you can see I colored some using different shades of the same color, and I did others using analogous or next to each other colors. So you can see this is an example of the type of crystal that we drew today, right? We drew this one here today. You can see I used pinks and purples for that one. We drew this one here today. and we drew this one here today, right? So 4 different examples of different crystal and gemstone drawings. All right, so this was part 1 of a 2-part video, so be on the lookout for part 2.